Hello, welcome back to another video. Thank you for tuning in. My name's Justin and today we're talking about my £500 kitchen refurb. Now, if you've been watching the channel a while, you'll know that I'm a bit of a DIY expert or amateur, depending who you ask. But regardless, in this video we're going to talk through how I refurbished a kitchen in order to utilise what was already there but create a much better, more quality product, and it helped us to sell the property as well. So I want to talk through that with you and give you the reasons why I chose that as an option. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already, please take a second to subscribe, hit that bell icon so that you get emails every time I upload a video. I've got lots of content for you to look back through and I appreciate you being here. To give you a bit of background on this flat, we purchased it quite a few years back now. It didn't need someone to come in and do a full refurbishment, but it did need someone to put some love into it and freshen up the interior. So why a cheap kitchen refurb, you might ask? Well, to be quite frank, we had a limited budget. So that was one of the main driving forces. However, there are other factors which also came into play, and that is I'm a new property investor and I'm looking to continue growing a portfolio. I'm also looking to do more developments and flips in the future. So why not learn from the ground up? Why not get your hands stuck in and see what it takes to do these kind of jobs, see how long it takes, how much effort is involved. So then when you're dealing, or when I'm dealing with builders in the future, I've got first-hand experience. I know what it feels like to do those jobs myself. So to quickly walk you through the whole process, I pulled up the kitchen floor. It took perhaps half a day or so just to do that. Of course, the demolition, the destroying part is always the exciting part. But once we pulled up the tiles, there was quite a lot of time spent just clearing and smoothing the surface for the next floor. Now, of course, when it comes to laying tiles, you don't necessarily just lay them down on a plain floor. Luckily, we've got wooden boards here. But if you were laying it down on carpet or wood, you'd often have something underneath to cushion the tile a little bit. That is not a professional term, but that is my knowledge of it so far. So in this example, I used a weddy board because that can somewhat kind of mold to what was a slightly bumpy surface. We're quite lucky we laid onto wood, but as I say, it wasn't completely even and there wasn't a quick or easy way of doing that. So we laid down weddy board, which then allowed us to add the tiles on top. Obviously the tiling phase was a much longer process. That was a couple of days of taking the time to cut the tiles down to go around the corners that we needed. It was laying them evenly. It was then grouting in between. But actually I really enjoyed that process, and the finish of the tiles I'm incredibly happy with as well. And then of course the next part was to refurb the kitchen cupboards. Now I have actually learned since that there is a incredibly useful way of refurbishing kitchen cupboards, which is called wrapping. Much like you'd wrap a car, I believe you can now take your cupboard doors and your units to get them wrapped, and it's not overly expensive. But in this instance, taking things into my own hands as always, I took off the kitchen cupboard doors and sanded down the units and the doors using an electric sander to really take off that kind of shiny exterior, and also to allow a rougher surface for the paint to stick to. I then primed them, and then we got a paint sourced that we really like the colour of, a nice navy blue, and then I added the 3 layers of paint that it required to really make this kitchen pop and stand out and look really good. Now for the cost. Well, the kitchen actually only costs £490, which I thought was pretty good. Obviously I put £500 on here because I thought it sounded like a more round and even number, but £490 was the total cost, which I'm happy with, you know, considering we've got a kitchen that's more modern, it stands out, it's quite fashionable now in that navy colour. To do that all for £490, I was incredibly happy with. And considering that when we looked at prices for new kitchens, and you're looking in that kind of £3,000 mark at least, if not £4,000 for something that's a bit more all singing, all dancing. Obviously we have to consider my time, and we do really have to consider that, as that's a big factor in this. And not everyone has the time to dedicate, to learn, and to put time aside when you've got so many other things going on in life. But my question is to you, can you do this? Do you have weekends and evenings in which you don't mind dedicating yourself to learning a new skill, to turning your hands to something? Do you want to learn to do this? If so, why not? Save yourself some money, learn a new skill, and in the process, learn what it takes to do these kind of jobs so that in the future when you work with builders, you know what's involved, you know the time scale, you know the cost. Why not do that if you have the time? Because I think I've learned a lot of valuable lessons from that kitchen. There's some things I would have changed about doing it now. There's some things I wouldn't. There's some things I go back and I just do it again because I know the savings that I made. Now, talking on which the mistakes perhaps I made and things I would change in the future, well, as mentioned, I would probably wrap the kitchen cupboards. They took far too long to sand down, primer and paint. You know, that took me a lot of weekends, a lot of evenings spent putting that effort in. Whereas now you could potentially pay a little bit more but have them wrapped for a similar finish and a similar condition. In contrast though, the kitchen floor is brilliant and I was really happy with how that turned out and how I've managed to learn a new skill in the process which I will take on to future projects. So it's a balancing act, and as I've mentioned, the time versus money thing is a real consideration here. If you do work a full-time job, if you do have a busy lifestyle, it probably is worth paying someone that's a tradesperson and that has that skill to come in because that is their day job. They know what they're doing, and you can carry on earning your money whilst paying a professional to do this job. But I wanted to show you how easily this can be done and how it's achievable, and how perhaps you could buy a buy-to-let and not need to do a full refurbishment. Can you upcycle what's already in this buy-to-let or this residential home that you've bought? Can you work with what's there? If your budget is small, you don't have to go in and refurbish a kitchen. You don't have to go and do a bathroom. Can you upcycle and work with what's there and make it better, make it look more modern, and then use that to add value? Of course, if you're looking to buy, refurbish, refinance quite quickly, this might not be the best option for you. But if you're looking to buy something, add value, and in time refinance, this could be a great stepping stone for saving money, adding value, and then further down the line, doing that work if needed in the future. I hope this video has been useful for you to see and for you to review. Please leave me a comment below on your thoughts. Give me some feedback on the kitchen. Do you think it's terrible? Do you think it's good? I'd love to know. I appreciate you watching. Lots of great videos coming soon as we are moving house. And I appreciate you supporting my channel week in, week out. But until the next video, I'll see you then.